guy said they use it actually already.
Hey folks, Rich here at RCINFORMER.com. Thanks for checking out this video on the 1400mm Cessna 182 Skylane. This one I got from abong-rc. You can check them out, abong-rc, abong-rc.com. And they have it for about, I think it's $145 or something. So it's a very, very good value for the money. You get a lot for the money. It's EPO, it's receiver ready, so all you gotta do is put a receiver and battery in it. To me, this airplane is the equivalent really of a 40 size trainer. Wingspan is 55 inches. It's a nice decent size. It's not too big, not too small. It's very, very scale, has corrugations and things in the, or simulated corrugations I should say, in the elevators, ailerons, and the simulated flaps. So it has a lot of good detail for it. But mostly it's very simple. 4 channels: aileron, elevator, rudder, throttle. And it's a very good plane if you want to get into RC. It's a good plane to start with. Very good electric airplane. It is 3 cells, and as you saw from the video, it flies quite well off of 3 cells. The beauty of 3 cells is with 2200, 2650 battery packs, you can pretty much, if you have 2 or 3 of them, you can pretty much fly all day. You fly on one pack, charge 1 or 2 of the others, and then just keep rotating them, and you can really get a lot of flight time out of this airplane in one day. It's really, almost anybody that really enjoys flying, really any airplane will like flying this thing, but it really shines, I think, as a trainer in an airplane for practicing lots of takeoffs and landings and introductory aerobatics. So if you are a first-timer, this might be the way to go. You know, for $145, it's a receiver-ready airplane, so it has the motor, ESC, all the servos, everything's already installed. Even the push rods were installed in this thing, so really, really easy to get this thing going. You can fly it on pavement or grass, and as you saw from the video, I pretty much strictly fly off of grass all the time. It handles grass quite well. Even the wheel pants, no problems with them at all. I kind of beat this up with lots of takeoffs and landings on grass, and never had an issue with the wheel pants. The one thing about this thing that I found very different from a lot of the other airplanes out there is that it really did build fast. We like to think that all these airplanes, you can just slap them together and go fly. They're not all quite like that. You have to put, I think you have to put a little more effort, and it's a good idea to spend a little more time on some of these things to put them together. But this one actually truly just went together quickly. Really in about 2 or 3 hours of taking my time, it went right together just like the instructions said. So very, very fast build on this airplane. Another nice feature is that it's small enough to fit in your car just the way it is, but you can disassemble it. There's 2 screws up here that come out, and you can take, there's 1 screw on the bottom and 1 screw on the top of the strut. So the 2 struts come off with 2 screws each, and then 2 screws for the main wing, and the whole thing just comes off. So you can transport it in 2 pieces, which is real nice. Overall, guys, this thing is just a fantastic airplane that is very inexpensive, builds very quickly, and it flies fantastic, as you saw from the video. It's just a very nice flying airplane. Again, not a complete build of the airplane. The instructions were so simple. This thing went together so fast. Even used the contact cement that came with the airplane to glue the tail surfaces on, because the design of the tail surfaces was such that the contact cement, it was not a problem. Didn't need to epoxy them or anything. It went right in with the glue they provided. I do in this video, though, have some suggestions and a couple of upgrades for it. Not too many, but a few things that kind of make it a little safer to fly and really enhance it a little bit. Anyway, guys, without further delay, let's get on with the video. Starting off the review of the 1400mm Cessna from abong-rc. Here's a look at the outside of the box as it arrived at my doorstep. Everything was in good condition. Let's look at the inner box. The inner box, as you can see, is just as generic as the outer box was, just plain white with no markings on it. Let's open it up and take a look inside. All right, we finally got to something that looks like an airplane. Looks like all the parts are individually wrapped. Everything looks like it's in good shape, no damage to the foam or anything. Let's get all the parts out. I'll lay them out, and we'll take a look at them. Here's the layout of all the parts that came out of the box. You get the fuselage, the 2 wings, elevator, rudder, landing gear system, spinner and prop, a bag of a few linkages there, 1 tube of contact cement, a Y-harness for the ailerons, and down at the bottom there's a main wing spar that is made of carbon fiber. And towards the upper right there's 2 wing struts that help support the wings. The overall finish of this plane is very, very slick. Looks like they did a nice job with the molds for this foam, because the EPO foam has a very, very smooth, very slick finish to it. So it's pretty impressive looking. Corrugations in the simulated corrugations there in the aileron surfaces. All the servos are already installed, ailerons and linkages are already installed, which is kind of nice. Elevator and rudder servo and motor already installed also. All the linkages are in place. Even the control horns are mounted to all the surfaces and so forth. Now, let me show you a few of the parts and give you a little more detail on them. First off, we have the main fuselage. The cowling is plastic, and you can see all the decals are applied already. You can see there's a little bit of bending here at the edges of the stickers, just because the stickers don't fit that well over the, or a flat sticker doesn't fit that well over a curved surface. So I may cut into some of those and flatten them out a little bit, but we'll kind of see how that goes. But it looks like it's in real nice shape overall. A couple screws here that mount the plastic cowling. Some sticker detail here for the lights and the lower oil cooler scoop. Canopy here is just made of plastic, and it's actually glued onto the foam. It's pretty tough. You can see the windows here. They did a nice job applying the decals. Very precisely put on there, and nicely centered and everything. Same thing with the back window. You see a little bit of bubbling up in it, but that's kind of expected, you know, in the packaging process. On the underside here, you can see where the nose gear is going to go on. It looks like there's a sort of like a double a wheel collar deal here. It's like a shaft connector, and the nose wheel will just go in there with a set screw. You can see underside here, there's a battery compartment. This thing is a 3-cell airplane, so it's a plastic compartment that opens up with some little tongue and groove designs, and then of course your battery connector goes in there to the inside. So it looks like it's got quite a bit of space in here to take a battery, and this all latches on pretty securely. One thing I do like here is pretty nice. They got a little bit of nice door detail and hinge detail here, but this wing strut support here, it's glued in pretty solid. I don't know what it's attached to, but I can hardly even budge it. It's like it's almost secured to the plastic frame or something of the inside of this battery box, but it looks like it's very scale, very streamlined, and it's pretty tough on there. As we move along back here, you can see the decals applied. Everything looks like it went on real nice. You also have, of course, your connectors and so forth. One thing they didn't include was some fuel tubing to just, you know, to put around the clevis here. But that's no big deal. You know, a couple pieces of fuel tubing, 4 pieces, probably all we'll need to finish up this whole airplane. Taking a look inside, you can see the front pins for the main wings and the rear screws that hold them in. And you can see the servo tray in there, nice and simple. Good Z-bends on the elevator and rudder horns. You can see the rudder steering linkage going all the way down there to the inside, and you can see the motor wires on the inside as well, with some holes through the firewall for cooling. So should be plenty of cooling going in here. If I find otherwise, I may even cut out the oil cooler, but I don't think so. It looks like there's plenty of air coming through here. But overall, guys, real nice job they did on the fuselage. Here's a look at one of the main wings, and just like the fuselage and all the other parts, very smooth finish. Their molds for their EPO foam are definitely a real nice quality. You can see the stickers are all applied nicely at the factory, so that's one less thing you're going to need to do. You can see this plastic washer here to distribute the load of the main wing screw is already installed for you. No flaps on this model, just aileron, elevator, rudder, throttle. You can see the simulated corrugations and the simulated flap panel line. If you wanted flaps on this model, it probably wouldn't be a big deal to cut them and put them in, but something tells me it's going to be a good flyer and probably really won't even need flaps. Ailerons, again, the horns are already installed. You can see the corrugations in here. Again, the horns are already installed, and servos and push rods are already installed. I will put a little piece of fuel tubing on all of the linkages here. Only 4 are required. They didn't include them, but that's not too big of a deal. Another thing here too is the wing support pylon for the wing. The one that I showed on the fuselage is very similar. Single screw is going to go through each of them, but this thing is tough. I don't know what they glued it to, but it seems like it's got a lot of strength to it. I think the support, most of the support of this wing or all the load is going to be absorbed by the carbon spar, but it's definitely going to be backed up by the wing pylon, so those are going to make quite a bit of difference. Anyway, guys, overall, real nice quality, real nice finish on the wings. Quick look here at the tail surfaces, foam hinges just like everywhere else. You can see the horn, again, already installed, and the simulated corrugation on the elevator surface really adds some realism to the model. You can see the surfaces are very, very thin and have a nice airfoil shape to them. So plane should fly real well. There doesn't seem to be any kind of a spar running through here, but it's a training plane. You know, it's meant to be flown lightly, so you know, we'll see how it acts at the flying field. Rudder, same situation. They got some nice plug-in grooves that are going to go right into the fuselage, as you can see right there. Horns already installed. And again, all these horns that they installed, they put a little piece of foam over all of these to protect the model and keep it from scraping up other parts. But overall, these look like they're in pretty good condition. Taking a look at the landing gear design, these come pre-assembled already. There's a wheel already mounted, as you can see in here, and has spacers in it already. And the nose wheel and strut, you can see it has this spring loop in it. All you need to do is attach that with a set screw and you're good to go. Stickers are a little, again, don't really, you know, straight sticker doesn't really, you know, stick to a curved surface all that well. So stickers are around the wheel pants here a little rough, but overall they're pre-done for you, and that's kind of a nice thing. You see here the main wheels are the same deal. Interesting enough, I installed this one, and all it does is it sort of screws on, and then once you get it in place, it's kind of there to stay. If you need to and you don't like the wheel pants, you can always remove them and just put wheel collars on them. But we'll try them out, see how they work out. Otherwise, you just have this this sort of spring standard landing gear that's going to fit on the underside, and these plastic wheel pants look like they'll be pretty decent. So we'll see how they do out at the field. Last but not least, you get a set of instructions with the airplane. Pretty basic instructions, but they do get the job done. The English is pretty easy to understand. Putting the wings together with a little bit of glue. Tail surfaces also with a little bit of glue, it looks like, and then attach the landing gear to the fuselage. Attaching the spinner and the prop. And all the linkages, and then putting the wing onto the airplane. And the wing struts here, and you're pretty much done. So that's it, guys. Real basic, should go together real easily. Now let's go ahead and get it together, and I'll show you anything that I may have changed or improved, or anything that is noteworthy. Here's the finished Cessna, and man, it went together fast. In fact, this is probably the fastest building receiver-ready plane that I have put together here in a while. All the parts were very precise, and the instructions really the airplane really built to the letter, just like the instructions said. So I'm real impressed by that. So nearly anybody can get this plane, put it together just the way the instructions say, and it will go together that way. Real nice fit, real nice finish to everything. Now, what I'm going to do is show you a few things that I did slightly differently, and a few upgrades and a few improvements that I think will overall make the airplane just a little bit better. First and foremost, when putting this airplane together and when you're all done with the assembly process, like I discussed before, it's a good idea to grab a piece of fuel tubing and put it around each of these clevises. They don't supply it with the kit, but you only need 5 pieces, so just a small piece of scrap tubing will do. 1 for the rudder, 1 for the elevator, 2 for the ailerons, and 1 on the inside linkage that goes to the nose wheel steering, but it's on the servo end of it. And that'll keep everything much more secure. One interesting assembly process of this plane is actually installing the elevator. They actually have you take a knife, a hobby knife, and you can see the diagonal cut that I made right here that I had to cut open to get the elevator in there. A little of an unusual procedure to mount this thing, but I found that it worked very well. It went in just the way the instructions said. And I went ahead and I used the supplied contact cement for this whole thing, because the design of it seemed tough enough that you know, just tacking it in with some contact cement would definitely get the job done. So essentially, all you do is just cut put this cut right in here, and you literally, just like the instructions say, you lift this part of the fuselage up, and then just sort of slide the elevator in, and then the rudder plugs in right after it. I would suggest putting the glue the way they did on here. Basically, just put the glue, before you have the elevator on, put the glue in here first and use a brush. And with the brush, you can brush it out all inside that notch, and then you can go ahead and slide this elevator right into place. And then, different from the instructions, instead of putting glue on the rudder and plugging it right in, what I would suggest is put it in the trough, okay? If you put it on the rudder and then put it in, the glue can ooze out and get all over the place. It's probably going to ooze out a little bit anyway, but the contact cement will work well this way. This whole system had a real nice, or the whole rudder had a nice plug-in that helps you line the elevator up, and in fact the rudder actually plugs down through the fuselage and into the elevator, and this whole area along here just joins together real nicely. So real good job they did on putting the tail together. A couple of notes on the underside of the airplane, a couple suggestions I have regarding installing the landing gear here. This whole wire just literally just plugged down in there and kind of popped into position. But getting it into position, you need some sort of a tool. And I used a thin, just an Allen wrench. This one is a 1.5 millimeters. But anything you have thin, if you have to stick down in there, thin ruler or something. And I literally had to sort of push down on this side and push down on this side. And you could feel sort of a snap where it kind of went into a detent. And before using a tool like this, it really wouldn't snap in there and the gear would sort of come right back out again. So just make sure you find something thin to push it down in there. Support the top side of the airplane with your hand or something, and then push down. You'll feel it kind of snap into the detent, and then the gear is on there pretty tough. Another thing that I did, and I highly recommend adding to the airplane, is putting a cooling hole. And you can see right back here, at least one. If you want to put several, even two back here would be a good idea, but I just cut a hole right back here to let air exhaust out, because the only other exhaust place for hot air from the speed controller and so forth to get out is down into here, this battery compartment, but the battery may block that a little bit. And the battery has plenty of ventilation under here, but again, I would highly suggest just sort of cut a hole down in here and take a dowel rod, a thicker, like a 1/2-inch dowel rod or something, wrap it in some sandpaper, and then just kind of move it up and down, and you'll get this nice kind of aerodynamic sort of an exit hole, so the air can be drawn out and get some of the warmer air out of the fuselage. So it's always a good idea to have some exit cooling. Another note I wanted to make here is on the battery compartment itself. It seems to be a really good design. This whole thing snaps into place, and at first I thought it was kind of a little bit rickety, but I found that it actually pops right into place well, and it snaps into place well. And you want to make sure these latches fully closed, because as you're flying around, the battery could kind of undo this thing and pop out. But so far, all the flying I've done, I haven't had any problems with that. If you feel there's any risk of that, it's probably not a bad idea to just sort of tape the door closed when you go and fly it. And especially if you're going to fly it more aggressively, do something like that. But for general flying and flying around, it's been a good battery compartment. Haven't had any problems with it keeping the battery in there. Taking a look inside the servo tray area, there is one change I had to make here, guys, to this servo rod. You may or may not have to do this with yours, but I found this to be an issue with mine. Not a big deal, but this rod was a little bit too long on mine. It was probably maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch too long. And on the other end of this one goes to the rudder. On the other end of this, there's a clevis, just like this one, okay? And what you want to first do is take the clevis on the other side of the rudder arm, and you want to center the threads in it so you have an even amount of threads sticking out this side and an even amount of threads sticking out this side. And once you have that done on the other end of this, now you can set your arm here for your rudder control approximately, so this arm here is 90 degrees to this one. And then you can determine if it's too long. And like I said, I found that mine was a little bit too long. So really all I had to do is just put another Z-bend in it here, like I said, about 1/2 inch to 3/4 down here. And use a Dremel tool to kind of clean this end up and make it so it's not so sharp, and then just reinsert it. So you can make a Z-bend with a pair of pliers, or if you happen to have one of these Z-bend makers. This is a Great Plains brand, but there's so many versions of these things out there, and I found these to work real well. But again, it's just making another Z-bend on here a little farther down on that rod. And again, check yours to make sure. You may not have to do it with yours, but I did find that I had to make this simple correction. Here's a quick look at the motor that's included with the kit. It has proven to be real rugged and real powerful for flying this plane. Definitely it's a good quality. You can see inside here the speed controller. It's a Hobby Wing Skywalker 30 amp that comes with the airplane that seems to fly the airplane real well. You see all the cooling holes there in the firewall with plenty of cooling going in. Looking back up here into the cabin area, you can see down there the hole that I made. It's the only real exit hole to get the air out. So again, it's probably a good idea to put that exit hole in there so some of the warm air can escape. Also, if you're flying a JR radio, just with some Velcro, you can see here where I Velcroed the primary receiver to one side with the antennas going horizontal. And I put the satellite receiver on the other side with them going parallel. You can see the Y harness that they give you that comes off the receiver to go into the ailerons. Flipping the camera around here, you can see on the opposite side the satellite receiver, and again, it's a real good idea to mount those perpendicular to the other antennas. For 2.4 gigahertz, I've heard that that's the way to do it, and that's how I've rigged all of mine, and I've really never had any interference with any of mine. One note I do want to make on the rudder servo, the one they supply you is sufficient, but if you have a few bad landings like I had, you'll end up stripping the gear on that servo, so I ended up replacing this one a few times. So it's probably not a bad idea if you do need to replace that servo to go ahead and use a metal gear servo if you can. It'll just be much more rugged for the nose wheel steering, and it'll take much more abuse of grass landings. But anyway, guys, there's the layout of the cockpit, and it's a real simple setup. Here's a look at the batteries that I use inside the Cessna, this 2200 and 2650 Sky LiPo. 3-cell packs. You can see they're very similar in size and weight. Lots of space inside this battery compartment to put a big battery, so even if you can put something a little bigger in there, fit it in there, the plane should take the weight just fine. You got a DIN soldered onto the speed controller. You'll either need to convert that over to a bullet plug like the batteries have, or put a DINs on your batteries, or just make a converter plug here like I did with some wire, DINs, and a bullet connector. You can see here the batteries do fit in there nice with plenty of room. When I flew the airplane, and as I've been flying it here, I slide it all the way as far forward as I can and put something back here, whether it be foam or put some wire back here to keep the battery from shifting aft, and that gave us a good flying CG. But anyway, these two batteries are what I've been flying on the airplane, and it flies real well with them. The landing gear on this airplane has been pretty darn phenomenal. At first glance, it almost seemed like it was maybe a little bit rickety, but after you saw from the video all the flying I did with it, I didn't have a single problem with this landing gear or any issues at all with the wheel pants. And wheel pants usually often can be kind of a pain in the butt. But these held up nicely, mostly because they're made out of molded plastic. And they come already assembled and everything, and all you need to do is put the wheel in the pant and screw the whole thing on, and it goes on quite nicely. The only complaint at all that I would have, it's a small complaint about the landing gear, is that it's noisy. Because these are plastic and the wheel kind of rattles around in there, it just makes some noise, and you could probably hear that in the video easily. But overall, guys, this has been some great gear that you can really learn on and kind of beat it up with some grass. Now, if you have grass that's maybe a little bit taller than what you saw me flying on in the video, there are a few things that you can do. One, you could actually take this whole wheel pant and just unscrew the thing and take the wheel off and just put the wheel back on and place a wheel collar first on this side of the wheel, then put the wheel on, and then put another wheel collar on this side and just fly without the wheel pants. The other thing you can do is you have a good centimeter right here of space before you get to the axle. So you could probably take about 1/4 of an inch or so off of the bottom of the wheel pant and expose much more of the wheel, and that way the wheel pant won't interfere with the grass. So you have to unscrew this and remove it, which takes 2 seconds to do, and then with a sanding bar or even a belt sander, you could probably just take a good 1/4 inch off the bottom and expose more of the wheel. But overall, guys, this has been one heck of a nice set of landing gear. Definitely a thumbs up for having a good rugged gear system for this plane. Okay, folks, that concludes this video on the 1400mm Cessna 182 Skylane from abong-rc. Check it out at abong-rc.com. Again, guys, you can't beat this thing for 145 bucks. It builds real fast and it flies great. I've had a lot of fun flying this thing, and you just can't beat the overall value for the money. Anyway, guys, once again, thanks for checking out RC Informer. Check out RCINFORMER.com and RC Informer on Facebook. Hope you found the video real informative. Once again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.